And Raleigh is here. Hey, Raleigh. Jenny Fox is here. Marvel May is here. Cabello's Closet is here. Gemming Eyes, Deals for Steals. Lynn MCH is here. SLS Southern Charm. Welcome in. Good morning. Hall Mall. Hall Mall. Welcome. All right. I'm just getting started on my treadmill here, so give me a second to kind of get it up to some sort of normal speed here. How's everyone today? What you got going on? Who has shows today? Raise your hand if you have a show today. Good morning, Jamie, Rob. Who has a show today? Tonight. All right. Well, could say during the next 24 hours or the next 12 hours. Show tonight. Awesome. And what are you selling, Marvel? Or hoping to sell? Or what are you doing? Good morning, Bonnie. How are you? Lounge Fly. Awesome. I have a show at 1 p.m. Eastern Vintage. Awesome. So everyone with shows today, shout them out and let's get everybody's shows bookmarked for everybody. And please follow each other. So read the show notes. It tells you in there, please follow each other. Feel free to shout out your shows. Please bookmark each other's shows. And then there's some bullet points in there that are starred. Those are all of the mainstream places to go get help if you have questions or don't know how to do something on the app. Marvel had my first show last night, sold some Loungefly, but was not prepared on the tech side. It is not as easy as it looks. Oh, it gets easier. So yeah, the more you do it, it does get easier. So I think the main thing that was hard for me is just getting it set up in a way that especially if you're not in front of the camera, getting it set up in a way that people can see what you're showing. It's not, that it's positioned correctly, that there's good lighting and good sound and all that stuff. That first time is kind of crazy, but for me, that was so long ago. And everything has changed since then as far as the technology. So, pretty crazy. Yeah, there's a little bit of a learning curve for sure. Deals for Steals is thinking of doing a show today, but scared because of shipping issues. What shipping issues did you have? I had someone in yesterday that was I don't think that was you, that was talking about how they did the numbering system and somehow their numbers got off and they sent people the wrong thing. So we were talking about if you use the numbering system. Oh, you sell shoes and whatnot bundles, 14 shoes all together. Okay, so yeah, so Bonnie's done that. Yeah, use names. So if you use the numbering system with a sticker, put their name on the sticker just real quick. And then also or make sure you verify on the back end with the videos if you have to. But yeah, if you use numbering system, make sure you put their name on the sticker too, just to have double insurance on that. Because if your numbers get off, you skip a number accidentally or whatever, that can get pretty bad. So Deals for Steals, you probably need to set up custom shipping profiles so that it only allows it to bundle, whatever's going to fit in the boxes you use. So, for example, if you want to only be able to have them ship together 2 pairs of shoes or 3 pairs of shoes, you need to have a custom shipping profile that only allows 2 or 3 pairs or whatever. So go look up custom shipping profiles, set up your show that way, where each listing that they buy, because you can set it where it only allows it to bundle two, three, whatever. And then you won't have that problem because, and you just tell people right in the show notes, every third pair of shoes you buy or fourth pair of shoes you buy will start a new package and you will have to pay separate shipping. Unless you're selling enough that it offsets, the cost of the shipping, because then, you just kind of have to count that as part of the price and maybe bump your prices up a little bit more to help offset that. So it just depends. Because, of course, people are going to be thrilled to have reduced shipping, and be able to buy 14 pairs of shoes for the same price. But if you can't afford to do that, you need to use custom shipping profiles and have it, unbundle after however many X pairs of shoes so that it doesn't charge, so you're not having such a nightmare on the back end. So it's up to you as to what was going to work. I have 1,000 pair of shoes and I don't have them in the shop. How can I list them by weight and size? Um, well, you don't necessarily have to list them all separately, although it's probably useful to have at least some listed. But um, you can list by weight by just using, you know, by using generic listings that are by weight. So, like if you have a pair of shoes that weighs 2 pounds, you sell it under a listing that is a 2 pound pair of shoes. And then, like I said, if you use custom shipping profiles, maybe the bigger, bulkier shoes that are like boots or big old um, Doc Martens or something, then you have that set for, in this weight category, it only allows 2 pairs to be shipped together or whatever. So go look up the custom shipping profile. Go to help.whatnot.com, custom shipping profiles, and get that figured out before you have your next show. And, make sure you change the shipping settings in the specific show. So if you're going to do custom shipping profiles, you're going to want to use 1 to 5 pounds priority, 5 pounds and over ground advantage, and don't have the 921 max shipping. Have it set for buyer pays all if you want to do it that way. Okay, because there is an advantage to upping your price a little bit and still offering the reduced shipping. And then on the back end, hopefully it works out and you can use a few of your adjustments for the person who bought a ton of shoes, but it offsets it by the fact that you sold so much. So you just have to really decide what's going to work. So each listing that is specific. So like you decide, if I sell 5 pairs of these lightweight slip-ons, I can bundle them. But if I sell 5 pairs of these big chunky shoes, I can't. So you have weight categories based on maybe the size of the shoe or the weight of the shoe. I don't know. I don't know what you have. So you're going to have to kind of go through what you have and decide what's going to work. And then, yes, each profile or each listing, if you're doing like a listing that is lightweight slip-ons, maybe that's one of your weight profiles. And then it allows 5 pairs of shoes to be bundled. Then maybe you have a weight category that is, heavy, chunky shoes, and it only allows 1 or 2. Does that make sense? So you have to set them up based on what works for what you sell. And you set those custom shipping profiles up with a name. And then when you list that item, that's the list, that's the custom profile. Instead of the generic ones that Whatnot already has in there. You use the one you set up that's, lightweight slip on or whatever. So, yeah, you're going to have to play with that and really look at your inventory and see what's going to work. Yeah. How do you do max shipping of 921? So in your shipping settings, you go to the setting where it asks who pays. Let me show you in that. So you go to Seller Hub and go to shipping. So just scroll down to shipping. So I'm right here on Seller Hub shipping, and this is for your default shipping settings. Here's where you put in the shipping settings. Now you can do this same thing in every individual show. This is on your main Seller Hub profile. All right, so you've got domestic shipments and then shipping costs. And see how on mine it says buyer pays max? Your options when you open that up is seller pays all. That would be offering free shipping. Buyer pays up to a set shipping cost. I have it set at $9.21. And then buyer pays all. That's if you want the buyer to pay, whatever it charges. So that's how you do it. And then if you want it different per show, you just open the show and edit the show and go down to the shipping inside that specific show and change the shipping cost per show depending on what you're trying to do. All right. Yeah, and sorry, I need to get my water. I forgot to grab my water. Sorry, my voice is croaky. So yeah, just remember that you can always change the shipping for each individual show. Have on your main shipping profile seller in the Seller Hub whatever you want to be the normal default. But then if you're doing something different in a show, you just edit on there what you want to use. Okay. So that's how it works. All right, give me a second, guys. I'm going to jump off and go grab my water because I forgot to grab it. Because my voice is not going to hold if I don't have some water. Okay, sorry about that. Had to grab some water. Welcome in everyone who's joining. We were talking about custom shipping profiles. Is there anyone here in the chat? Have you used custom shipping profiles? Tell me if you've used them and how that has gone for you. So custom shipping. The shipping is what I'm scared to mess up on, but I'm finally doing a first show today. Nighthawk, congrats. Let me get you followed. Let's look at your profile and get that show bookmarked. First show today at 10:30, coming up fast. And let's see, Nighthawk V. So someone with a name that starts with V. First show, little of almost everything. Storage unit finds. All right, so let's get those two shows bookmarked. I would get some more shows added before you do the show today. That's the number one most important thing, is to have lots of shows scheduled. Schedule them out, and then you can always move them around if you need to. But if you have kind of an idea of what days and times you're going to do shows, go ahead and get them scheduled so that people can start bookmarking upcoming shows. Okay. And so here's Nighthawk. I like your picture and thumbnail there. I would get a little bit more information in your profile so people know a little bit more about you. I think that's important, especially when you're new. So just, right here in this section where you can put some info, add some stuff. All right. Let's see. How does the exact shipping cost show up on the screen while you're running the product? Some shows show 921, others show a random price. Well, if it shows 921, that's because the item they're running is a pound or more. And so it's already hitting that max, price of 921. If it's showing a random price, it's because it's less than a pound and it's calculating the ground advantage weight rate for whatever that item weighs for, because when you're under a pound, it's an incremental cost until it hits 921. And then between 1 and 5 pounds, it stays at 921. And then depending on how they have their shipping settings set, if they're doing buyer pays max 921, then you get free shipping the rest of the show. If they are doing 1 to 5 pounds priority and then 5 and over ground advantage, once you hit 5 pounds, it starts incrementally adding the cost for the extra weight to send it as a ground advantage package. So it also depends on where you live based on where the buyer lives versus where the seller lives on that smaller amount of ground advantage cost, because the way the postal service works, it's regionalized. So that's, and as a seller, you don't see that. Only the buyer sees that because it's different for every person. And if you have like a buyer who is in Canada or something, it's going to be totally different and they don't get that, 921 rate versus someone in the States that lives close to you or whatever. Well, it's based on the Postal Service, but Whatnot has negotiated that flat rate price of 921, which is a very good rate compared to most platforms and way better than retail rates through the post office. Now, the thing to keep in mind is that the reason it's a little bit more complicated is because compared to most other places that you shop on, Whatnot allows the bundling. And it's a huge benefit to buyers because they can go on to a show, buy multiple items, and get a pretty decent shipping rate versus most other platforms where you pay per item, because you're just buying, if you go on to eBay and buy 5 items, they're all coming usually from different sellers and you're paying shipping per item. So that's the trade-off. It does get a little bit confusing. Once you get the hang of it, it really isn't that complicated. And if you get to a point where you're selling in large volumes, it really doesn't matter because on the back end, you do whatever you need to ship it and you offer reduced shipping and people are buying so much that, your shipping costs are kind of offset by how much you're selling. So it's just that time period of, trying to get used to it, trying to figure out what's going to work. But once you get it all set up and figured out, it really is kind of great. You just have to go through those growing pains of getting it set up. So, yeah. Welcome in everybody. Thanks for joining. And so in the auction tab in my show, so if you press the little store right here where it's showing some markers right now on my screen, and then make sure your screen's on the auction tab, I have 9 different things in there that are just things for you guys to screenshot. I don't run these items, they're not for sale. They're just documents. So you can go through those 9 items and screenshot all the pages. And the one that says, the second one down that says choosing basic shipping settings. That is your guide as a new seller for how to decide how to set your shipping when you're new. Okay. It kind of goes out the window and changes once you are selling a lot and you're selling in high volume. You can change it to be, whatever works. But this is how to decide what's going to work for you. So go through that document and really figure out what's going to work. So much to create. Can you look at my show? Yes. Let me get out of here and click your profile. So got a show tonight, 6:30 p.m. First yarn show. Big twist. Heron and Lion brand. Okay, perfect. I love your thumbnail. That's adorable. Okay, so my first criticism will be you need to have more shows scheduled. Okay, so that's great that you're having a show, but if you want people to come back again, you need to have more shows on your schedule so they have something else to bookmark. So make sure you get some more shows scheduled before you have that show today so that people have something to bookmark. Okay. And also, I would suggest share. What a beautiful smile you have. That you kind of bullet out and break up this paragraph, which is awesome, that tells us all about you. That kind of break it up because people tend to not read a big paragraph. But if you have it kind of broken up into little bullet points with some cute little emojis or something, people will be more apt to read it. And you want people to read it because you want people to make a connection with you and learn about you and what you sell and what your passions are in life. And then it makes a connection, so you want to have that kind of broken up a little bit. Also, I would suggest getting something behind your cute little picture here that is as cute as your little thumbnail here. So something along those lines, maybe something you've created in the background there, so that there's something visually nice to look at. All right, so those are my critiques for you. Take it for what you will. But yeah, everything looks good. Um, but yeah, you definitely need more shows so that you can have something for people to bookmark. Thank you for the tip, Nighthawk. That was nice of you. Appreciate that. All right. And yeah, you're welcome. This is my way to kind of pay back. And it was kind of a little bit of a self-serving way to do this. I'm on my treadmill walking. If I weren't on here chatting with you guys, I would probably be on here shopping. So it saves me a little bit of money. That's that's the truth. Because if I weren't on here with you guys, I would be probably on someone else's show shopping. So, all right. So yeah, make sure you go through that auction tab. Okay. In my shop, hit the store, change it over to auction because I think it defaults to buy it now for you guys. But go to the auction tab, go through those 9 items I have in there and screenshot all the pages. So to screenshot something like this last one right here, all you do is tap the picture, tap it again, make it big on your screen, and then just screenshot it. And you can, even if you want them printed out, you can save them all as pictures, send them to your computer or whatever, your email, and then print them. And you can have kind of a little cheat book that you keep. So, all those things. I wish there were an easier way to provide like a PDF download or something, but they haven't allowed attachments or digital documents yet. So hopefully that's coming. And some of those cheat sheets are official ones that Whatnot put together for use, and those are available through that I put together based on their information. My Draz top 10 tips, that was my own thing that I made a list of because that was the things that people kept asking about over and over. And I'm just like, we need a list. And so the top 10 tips are my tips 1 through 10. They're not in any specific order necessarily, but number one and number two are like the most important. And then everything else is really important too, but not as, crucial as far as order goes. And my number one tip is schedule shows. That's flat out, that's what you absolutely have to have shows scheduled. If you just did pop-ups all the time, it's going to be a really slow growth because people are not going to know and see and be able to bookmark upcoming shows. You'll still be able to go live and, maybe get a little bit of traction. But, if you're only going live randomly, nobody knows, nobody saw it coming, nobody was able to bookmark it. See my gist there? So, scheduling shows, having shows on your schedule is huge. And you can always, like I said, change the date, change the time, move it around if you have to, if something comes up, but have shows on your schedule. And I think it is important to get a regular schedule if possible, so that people know, that you're on every X at this time, kind of like your favorite TV show. People are like, oh, yeah, Draz is on at Tuesdays at 2:30. And then I'm going to always remember that time if I want to be there. So that it's kind of helps to have a regular schedule. All right, let's see. Picture question for setting up a live. I need help with buy now and switching to auction for show. Some don't show up. I can't find them in the show. All right. So here's just a little tip. If you're setting up a specific show, instead of adding your items from the main profile, open the show and add them in the show. And then they're in that show because you put them in that show. And then you can always use your listings everywhere else. So here's another thing. Go into my show notes. And in my show notes, I have my YouTube channel listed in there. Yesterday, I did a show where I was in front of the camera, seller help chat. And yesterday, I went through how to do listings and how you can change a listing from buy it now to auction, back and forth, what the settings are if you want it to be available only in live shows or if you want it to be available on your profile shop 24/7. I went through all of that on the screen. So go subscribe to my YouTube channel and go watch yesterday's show. We went through all of that, and that will be helpful because really it's as simple as learning how to use listings and how all the different things you can do with listings to have them be in different places and what you can do with them when you have them set up. So definitely go watch that. It will help you. Okay. Where do you find out how much you have made? That would be on the 1099 for taxes. So you go into the seller profile and you can go to analytics. It's best to do it on a computer or the web version. It's not, it's pretty limited on mobile. So go on a computer in your account and go to Seller Hub and Analytics, and it will show you, there's different things you can change around, and it will show you, how much you've sold for different periods of time, and you can have it be gross or you can change it to net. So it'll show you both. That's one place. And then you can also go to financial, and that's where you get the payouts and stuff, and it will show you how much you've had paid out. And then you also can go to your ledger under finances, and it will show you every single transaction in and out, although ledger is less helpful because it's just a big list, and they don't have really any rich ways to sort it right now. So, but you can also download, once you've been on the app for at least a year, which won't help you new sellers, you can download a report that shows you your whole year. And you get your 1099 through Stripe. So Stripe is the connector that connects whatnot to your bank account, and that's how the payment gets processed through. They're the ones that actually generate the 1099. All right, so hopefully that makes sense. And also, if you need more details, just go to help.whatnot.com, type in 1099, and you'll find any articles that refer to that. And you can find all the help that you need in there. You are welcome. Let's see. So yeah, watch yesterday's show if you're needing help with listings. And definitely if you're trying to just have some specific items in a specific show, this is me, I prefer to set them up in that show, because you just open the show, but you don't go live. You're just inside that show, and you hit the shop button and then change tabs, like I just hit the shop button, right? For me as a seller, it defaults to auction. I think for buyers, it defaults to buy it now. I can't remember, but you just hit which one you want. So if I want to add some to my auction, I stay in auction tab and I just add by pushing the plus sign, and I add it right inside that specific show. And then I know it's in that show and I know where I put it. Okay, because a lot of people say things disappeared. Well, it's because where you listed it, if you list it out in your main profile, it doesn't know what show you want it in until you tell it. So it's only as smart as set it up to be. So if you're setting it up in your main profile shop, it automatically defaults to a buy it now listing available in your store. So if you don't want it there, you need to tell it in the listing by changing the settings. So go watch yesterday's show on my YouTube channel, because I went through that on the screen to show you how to do all that. If you tip someone and they don't get it, what do they do? I'm not sure what you're saying. So Dap, if you tip someone and they don't get what, so rephrase that. I think you're saying if you tip someone and then they don't get it, I don't know why they wouldn't get it. Because if you tip someone, it automatically goes to their account. So I rephrase that, and so I know for sure what you're asking. All right. Let's see. Did I miss any questions? Make sure if you have a question, you put a question mark on it so that it shows up in bold. And then I will try not to miss any of those questions. So, yeah. Maybe it just doesn't show based on what the seller selected. There are sellers who have turned off in their settings, they don't want to have tips. So that is an option. If you don't want people to be able to tip you, you can turn that off. And so there may be sellers that that's not available because they have it turned off. Oh, you tipped someone and they said they didn't see it in their account. Um, yeah, I don't, because it's you, they have to go to their ledger. So maybe say, did you check your ledger? You know, because if you could tell them what show that you did it in and then to tell them to check their ledger. It's really not that obvious if they missed it during the live because people don't automatically go check their ledger regularly. Because, like I said, it's honestly not that helpful. It's just a huge list. And other than accountants who wants to look at that, not me, you know, but you can download it. So they have to go look in their ledger for that show for that date, and then they'll see it in there. So, because I don't know of any cases where people are sending tips and that it's not actually being given to that person. So if you guys know that's happening, I can report it as a glitch, but as far as I know, I don't think that's happening. Yeah, you bet. All right. So, yes, everybody make sure you read the show notes. Take a screenshot or copy paste the show notes as well. If you're on iOS, you can hold down your finger on the top of the show notes above the line, and it will eventually pop up and say copied. So, like copy paste, and then you can copy it like into your notes or something, or just take a screenshot, have it opened up and take a screenshot because those starred bullets are important places for you to be able to go get information. And it's got my YouTube channel, Draz on Whatnot. And if you go subscribe there, I live stream on YouTube and it saves my lives. So you can go to my channel and go to lives and rewatch any of the shows you missed, or if you want to rewatch it, you know, to get the information again, just go there. Hey, Abstractory, how are you? Welcome in. All right, Crafter's Outpost is here. Smelly Cat's here. Thanks for joining. So we're just talking about whatever. I did a show yesterday where we went over listings, how to list and where to list and how to change a listing to be what you want. We also talked about flash sales and I showed you how to do a flash sale. We talked about the feature where you can scan a UPC code on a product and have it download the product. I think it's on only iOS right now. Someone tell me if it's on Android to be able to scan. It's awesome. So if you sell products that are new with tag or that are in the package, you can scan the UPC when you go to add the item, and then it downloads the stock photo, it downloads the title, and it fills in the description for you on most items. It's awesome. All right, I had a customer who waited 16 days for her package. She got a refund from Whatnot and then got the product. What do I do? Did they deduct the refund from your account? And then do you have proof that she got it? Let's see. Style Patch says, I just started adding products to my first show. I started numbering items because I see people do this. what are the benefits? The benefit of numbering is ideally when you open your shop, it puts them in the order based on the numbering system you use. But I'll be honest, their numbering is, I don't even know, I can't figure out the algorithm for how it numbers, because it does screwy things. And then every once in a while, no matter what you do, you'll have an item that is in, that you have numbered in a certain number, and it shows up on top no matter what you do. So there's some glitches in that. Um, the numbering system I use that sort of keeps them in order is I use a number. Well, you can use a number sign as your first symbol and then use a number, because then they're all going to start with a number sign. So the asterisk, I don't use that, but I use 0 as my first number. And then I use the alphabet. So 0A, 0B, so on. And then I use a 1 once I get, if I have more than 26 items. So then I start doing 01A, or I mean 0A1, 0A2, and so on. But it will put 0A1 after 0A by itself. So it just depends, okay, how you want it. But the benefit of it is people can tell you the number of the item if they want to see something, versus them just, if you have a lot of items, it's hard for them to say, I want to see that red thing that is, you know what I mean? So a number is a lot easier for them to just say, can you show item 0A1? And then also, if you want to, you can put a sticker on your items that are the number you put in there to correspond with it. And then it's easier for you to find the listing when you go to run it. So that's the benefits. All right. If when you go live, the multi-platform button, if you hit that, will you go live on Facebook and other ones too? Yes, if you set it up. So, but you do have to set them up. So you have to connect them. So experiment with that. If you have, I don't know what the requirement is on Facebook for how many followers or whatever you have to have, but it's more than what YouTube is. YouTube, you have to have at least 50 subscribers already before it'll allow you to connect and go live. I don't know what it is on Facebook, because I've had Facebook for so long that I had more than enough. So I didn't even look it up. But yeah, you just, before you go live, click that. It takes you over to another menu where you can then connect, see if you can get them connected. If you're having a hard time getting them connected, go watch the video that Whatnot put together. So just type in help.whatnot.com multicasting. They put together a tutorial and a video to help you figure out, because sometimes you have to go into YouTube and do some different things in your settings. And also D_Archivist, D_Archivist has a video on YouTube to help you connect as well. So that's how you do it. Let's see. So I don't have to sell in that order. No, whatever system you put in to be able to find your items, you don't necessarily have to sell in that order. You can, just pull up whatever you want. So like if you have a bunch of items, you can grab the item and type in the number you put in there with it, or the description, and pull that item up and run that item. You don't have to go in the order that you put them. But some people like to do that. So it just depends on what works for you. Just for information, doesn't look like the product scan is available on Android. Just my Galaxy phone and compared to my iPhone. Okay. So it doesn't look like the scan is on Android yet. It is on iPhone. Okay. So let me show you what it looks like on here. So if I want to add something to my auction, I just hit the store. I'm in my auction. I hit the plus key and I'm going to create a quality listing. And the way it works is you hit the thing to add a picture, but see the different options. One, there's a new one, scan a barcode. So that's what you click. So you click that, and then it allows you to scan a barcode and add your item that way. And then it brings in, like I said, a stock photo, the title, and the description on most products, depending on what it is. Sometimes it doesn't give you a full description. And always read through what it brings, because sometimes there's a lot of extra stuff on there that you don't necessarily want, like, SKUs and I don't know, weird stuff like this is available as a multi-pack, blah blah blah. It'll go on and on. So you don't want necessarily everything it brings over. So make sure you read through it. Oh, and this stock photo will not save unless you add some additional photos. So take some other photos of the product, which I think is important anyway, because the stock photo doesn't always look the way you want it. And then it doesn't actually show the stock photo unless you go back and edit and save again. Then it will put the stock photo. If you like the stock photo, it will put that as the first photo. If you don't, it puts the photos you took first, and then you can save it if you prefer that anyway. So just play around with that. Hey, Vonnie, good morning. How are you? Hey, the purple polka dot. Good morning. Thanks for joining, everyone. Let's see. What was that in reference to, Tamara? Would they still pay through Whatnot? What was that in reference to? Let's see. So I don't have order. Oh, yes. If you're multicasting onto Facebook or YouTube, they aren't allowed to bid unless they actually click. So when you're on live on YouTube, if someone wants to go look, you can go to YouTube, pull up my channel, and you'll see that we're live in this show right now. But if you want to bid on something, you have to click the QR code link that they that the multicast puts up on the screen, and you click that, and then it brings you to Whatnot. And if you're already a Whatnot user, it just brings you to the show directly. If you're new and you've never signed up, it's a link for them to come and get an account and join the show. So yeah, and it's awesome because I get people coming through my links, and then you get credit if they sign up and buy something. So it's a win-win for sure. So if you have, other social media platforms like Facebook and YouTube, and then they also have a direct one with, what is it? The other one. I don't have it, so I never remember. Anyway, it shows up on there, whatever it is. If you have those already, make sure you try and get that set up, because there's no reason not to, because then you're automatically sharing your shows out there on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch. That's what it is, Twitch. Those are the three that are automatically available to multicast. So yeah, you should be doing that if you can. So, and I was negligent with YouTube. I already had Facebook and was multicasting there. But when they took away the ability to watch past shows, that's when I got diligent about YouTube, because that way people could go to YouTube and rewatch shows on there. And I had to get some subscribers because I really hadn't done much with YouTube. So I, had to get people to subscribe. And then once I got 50, I could start live multicasting from there. So yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Lily Lane, and welcome in. And thanks for everyone who comes. And please do bookmark each other's shows. It's not necessarily going to convert to direct sales, but it helps give everybody a boost in the number of bookmarks you have. And the number of bookmarks you have are important because when you go live, it gives you better positioning in the algorithm if you have more bookmarks. So, even though the number of bookmarks you have doesn't necessarily correlate with how many people are going to show up, it puts you higher in, in the For You lives that are available because you had more bookmarks than other shows, if that makes sense. Okay. So bookmark each other's shows. It's a little thing you can do for each other to give each other boosts when you're new. All right. Any other topics that are on your mind? I do keep reminding people in my shows lately that this is the slower time, and don't get discouraged, because for online sales, the summer slowdown is a real thing. People are going on vacation, going outdoors, doing yard work, doing other things, and so they're not on the app as much, and you have to kind of work around that. But I will say that if you capitalize on certain things, you can still do really well during the summer. And some categories still do really well during the summer. It just depends on what you sell. But just a suggestion is, if people are out vacationing or out doing outdoorsy things, when would be the optimal time to try and capture an audience? Earlier in the morning or later at night, because that's when they've, ended their activities, they're winding down. And if they're addicted to whatnot, like all of us are, that's when they're going to pull up the app and go on. So maybe try to do some shows in early morning or late night, that if you don't normally do that, that's an option, to maybe try a few pop-ups, or try and, reschedule a show to a later time or an earlier time to capture the times that people will be on. So it just depends. Okay. But yeah, definitely there is a real thing called the summer slowdown. And oh, thank you, Lily. That it's just real. So let me think about things that I've done in the past. I think it's important during that time to really focus on, getting organized, going through your inventory, doing some shows that are more curated, like you're organizing and you discover this big pile of something that you're like, oh, I can do a show that's just this, or whatever. Maybe doing some, I think a lot of people still do clear outs at any given time, but more focused clear out where, you have a specific item that you can advertise. This show is going to feature this, you know? So do stuff like that and really focus on that show and do a nice thumbnail, do a title, and do a lead up video. How many of you use videos on your shows? Raise your hand if you use videos. Okay. Videos will do a lot for you. Okay. Use them, but do a like 20. I usually do a 24, 48-hour lead up video. So you just add it in your show next to the thumbnail. So when you're adding your show, or once you've already got your show in there, all you do is open that show. Let me minimize and show you. So on my schedule, let's look at the show I have for Saturday. Okay. And I almost always add videos to these shows, and I usually do it about 24 hours. Sometimes I do it the morning before because that's when people are start looking to see what's coming up, right? So you just click that show. So here's that show I opened. You just click the three dots, edit show, and you go down to next to the thumbnail, right? There's your thumbnail. Right next to it is a place for you to add a video. So what I usually do is once I've got my show set up, I take a nice little video scan of what I'm going to sell that day. And sometimes I talk, sometimes I add music, sometimes it's just silent, but I take a little scan of what's available in that show. And oftentimes I will do it on TikTok first. And then that's the video. Because, when you add a video to TikTok, it saves it in your photos, and you can just add the TikTok video. Now it only allows about a 20 to 30 second video or less. So it has to be short. But yeah, just show them what you're going to sell that day, and you'll be amazed at how much that brings in with people excited to see the items they saw on your video. Make sure it's items you actually are going to sell, though. Don't add a bogus video of something else that you're not actually going to sell. Okay. So add a video, and it even works effectively to do it a couple of hours before. I think 24 hours is the best, because then it gives a lot of people more time to have seen that to get you a lot of bookmarks. But if you do it just even a couple of hours before, when people are looking at what's coming up, it makes a difference. So add videos, and it'll be a big help for you. Okay. People see it because when they're out searching for shows coming up, on the thumbnail, if you have a video, it starts showing the video. Let me see if I can find one that you can see. Not a ton of people use it. And so, but let's see. Let me scroll down to where we're in shows that are coming up, not live yet, and see if I can see one that has a video. Let's see. I'm trying to see if I know someone that adds them regularly. Oh, you've got one. Let's see. Style Patch. Okay, let me find yours so we can show them. Style Patch Kids. There you are. Okay, let me follow you back, by the way. Shows. Okay, so Style Patch has a show, and see how the thumbnail all of a sudden just turned into her video. So she's showing the items. So if you're out on the For You page under that category, this one is in baby and kids. You'll see the thumbnail for a brief second, and then it will automatically start showing that video. So she's showing all the cute clothes she has that are going to be available in that show. Okay. Very cool. And let's get that one bookmarked for Style Patch. Thanks for sharing that. I love your cute little Cabbage Patch Kid logo. That's adorable. So bookmarking, Style Patch, and of course I kicked myself out. It's hard when you're walking to get your fingers to do what you want. All right. Yes, good luck with shows. Oh, thank you, Style Patch. That was generous of you. Thank you for the tip. All right. So yeah, add videos. It really does make a big difference, you guys. You are welcome, Nighthawk. and excited for your first show. And let me look and remember what time you go live. So 10:30 today. So everybody bookmark this show for Nighthawk. Okay. First show, Nighthawk. Everybody bookmark it. I'll try and stop in when we're done. Because I'll be finished up here in about 15 or so minutes. And then I'll try and pop in. So yeah. First show's always nerve-wracking, but deep breaths, you'll do good. Talking about very first shows, Crafters Outpost has videos too. Cool, we can check that out. I'll check that out in just a second. So talking about first shows, make sure you utilize the practice shows, test show, I think it's called test shows, and the private shows. Use those to help you learn how to use the app so that when you go live officially, you've already run a couple of shows through the test, and then the practice is much better. The private shows, I mean, because you can invite people to come in and, family, friends, and they can give you all the feedback, and you can actually run items and see how that works. So make sure you use those and do a bunch of them so that you're really comfortable with going live and how it works. All right, Crafters Outpost. Let's go check your videos as well. All right, so I'm on your profile. Let's see, I'm not seeing one pop up. Which show do you have a video on? Because it's not going to the video for me. Don't see one. So I'm not sure where it's at. Anyway, so yeah, if you have one, on your very first one, yeah, it's not popping up for me, so that's weird. Let me tap the show and see if it pops up. Oh yeah, it's popping up once I tap it, but it should be showing it before that. I'm not sure why it's not. That's weird. Because usually on the For You page, it shows the thumbnail briefly and then goes right into the video. So I'm not sure why it would do different. Okay. All right. Oh, it is a glitch, maybe. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Okay. All right. I need to get going here pretty quick. Hubby just came home and we've got some stuff we've got to get done. Does anyone else have any other burning questions, things you need help with before I go find someone to raid? And please do two things. Go bookmark each other's shows and go through my auction tab and click all those documents and screenshot them. How do we add notes to future shows? So you're talking about the show notes. So all you do is open the show. So if you have a show you want to add show notes to, so like here's my show today, later today, I just click on it and there's the little show note thing. You just click it and either start typing or copy paste into the show notes. And I keep on my phone, I have some notes, on the little notepad. If you're on iPhone or on Android, there's a whatever they call it, a note thing. And I just keep some show notes in there that I can just copy paste because I use a lot of the same things over and over. So just do that. And then you just have to make sure you save it. So that's how. Yeah, it's just right there. You just open the show and it's just right underneath that first thing. Oh, thank you for the tip, Cape Cat. Appreciate that. Let me give you a follow. If I'm not, I am already following you. So awesome. And no shows scheduled yet, Cape Cat. Let us know when you're going to get some shows scheduled. And I always tell people schedule shows. Schedule shows, even if you're not ready yet, get one out there on your schedule, even if it's a month away, so that you have something for people to bookmark when you're out networking and socializing on the app. You can start gathering bookmarks. So yeah, definitely do that. Oh, thank you, Lily Lane. Appreciate that. All right. All right. Anything else? Oh, you're so welcome. Yeah, I love doing this. Um, Teaching is kind of my thing. I have a past of my degree in college was in health promotion, and I used to be a corporate trainer for a company for about 6 years, and then I also did a lot of like health training and stuff like that. I've also been a substitute teacher in the past. I've done a lot of volunteer teaching with my church, so it's just kind of part of my nature. And so I love to teach. And it's, like I said, it's kind of selfish because I get on here and I walk and I can chat with you guys, and it holds me accountable to be on the treadmill walking during that time. So, anyway, all right, I do need to go. Let me go see who we can raid into. And you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. Let me see if someone else is on doing a community show um, that we can raid into. No one under community. Let me just see in the for you if some of the other people that I follow are doing any community shows. Let's see, today's Thursday. I think Philly Flipper was on earlier, but I think he's already ended. So, all right, we're just going to raid into someone in my category. We're going to raid into Mary Lack. She's comes into these shows often. She's a sweetheart and is a newer seller, and she's doing fabric today. So we'll go raid Mary. And you guys have a wonderful day and make it a great day. So here we go into Mary. Thanks so much. See you soon.